Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Adriane, your quantum love coach, greeting you from beautiful Ubud in Bali. It has been a little while that I recorded my last YouTube. I was traveling a lot and exploring spaces, and quite honestly, late November, early December has been a very transformational time in many people's lives, but I was certainly part of a collective shift that has happened over the last 1 to 2 weeks. I really can feel it, and I can see it's coming closer and closer to the end of the year 2019. We have achieved a lot this year, many of us trying to bring new ideas and new concepts and new philosophies into motion and into communication, have done really extremely well. And I want to pat myself on the shoulder that I think, just starting this channel and when going back into writing and continuing my journey between Bali, Australia, and New Zealand has been incredibly powerful. So I can see that there is, for me personally, now a split coming very strongly between my more intuitive work, my visionary intuitive work, and my actual coaching work. I can see that a lot of clients love when I bring intuitive elements into my coaching, when I channel things that seem to come from, I don't know, nowhere or somewhere. Often people I coach who have very little spiritual background or beliefs or connections. So in order to balance this, I often give different explanations and try to just make it up a little bit more visual or playful. However, many things that become some sort of aware and appear in my consciousness and conscientiousness have become quite deep and quite solid. And of course, I bring it into my writing. But then it's also the life we live, and we want to speak and communicate and be authentic in that process of transmitting our message to the world. Now, being an intuitive, going into coaching elements has a different nature and a different quality, and we see on YouTube a lot of wonderful channelers and readers and tarot readers and intuitive readers and astrologers and people who withdraw the divine intelligence in such beautiful, abundant way. And I have done a lot of research in listening to a lot that's available to actually qualify my very own way of how I want long-term to be part of this community in sharing to you and for you in the world. So today I think I want to be the coach that comes through with some real intuitive elements. And I'm often asked, what is quantum? What is quantum love? What is quantum intimacy? And going back to stretch, for those of you who have never met me before, I come from a background of arts and film. I was, very much involved in vibrational medicine and healing. And in previous years of my life, I have worked in Germany's film industry and then in New Zealand's film industry very successfully. And from this creative healing and intuitive motion, I came into the more business side of things and studied business in New Zealand, and have now a company. Of course, I run it like a business, and yet, we cannot always sort of say it's a business. So I know that many of those people who feel attracted to these kind of messages I try to convey as well right now are very attracted to the idea of not just thinking about the spiritual aspects, but also about the worldly aspects. What is quantum? What is quantum intimacy? Bringing me back to my philosophy that I call the people who seek me, search for me, and coach with me are lovers in transit. They have a kind of idea of what they really try to change. They might not have yet the answer how to, and they can particularly not bring the pieces together between the past, the present, and the future. And here I come in, because I have the tools, and I certainly want to give that element of support to, first of all, look at a broader picture. So when you start connecting with me and ask for a discovery session, then this discovery session is a first get together, like a first date over a cup of coffee, and really seeing whether we match on a personality and communicational level, because communication in my work absolutely has to match. The second step is that we go into a more profound 1.5 to 2 hour foundation session, and that foundation session really looks into the differentiation of your wants and your needs, and sort of leave the past still a little bit behind, but we are extracting why are you here and what is it really you want to create in your life. And the work around the past and releasing past issues and being actually more conscious about what maybe stops you and limits you and holds you back to have what you really want and seek is something we can absolutely work on and deepen into further coaching, healing, and kind of regression sessions. I just feel that love is such an important thing for everybody, even for those who are not aware that they do want to love, that they have a capacity of love, and bringing love into their life and creating love lives, that are meaningful and great. We're talking about professional lives, about finances. We would give so much, for having the dream home, or buying the car and driving the car that is the newest model. However, when I have these conversations about how much we are willing to actually invest for having the lover that, or who is really, or the love life that really resonates with us fully, then the conversation is a very different conversation. And people think, it's happening by default, it's happening by luck, by this kind of coincidences. Yes, and for some it is still possible. However, in the greater collective and what I can experience, even on my very own journey, it has become increasingly more difficult. I just want to really say difficult to bring some common sense into this picture. We are filled with messages about Tinder, about online dating, how good or bad it is. You don't go online dating because it's only the one night stands that are needed and wanted, for most men in particular. And then I speak to the men and they say they're so fed up because girls only want the money and want to be taken out and want to be showered with a kind of financial and external, appreciation, but do not look so much for the depth in their real being. And we have this conversation is carrying on, and I think 2019, it being in numerology a 3-year, has been really one of, I would say, dealing with a lot of threesomes, with a lot of third-party situations, and with a lot of relationships between 3 people needing to be sorted out. So the 3-year does, but with that came also a lightness and a more open-heartedness to not go so deep and not be so incredibly serious, and having, even intimate involvements that go for a little while, but then we take the pressure off, because if someone feels not ready for having a full commitment, then that's fine. But in the coaching process, I really don't care what your personal relationship status is, because ultimately the experience of having the love and the love life and the love experiences we absolutely seek and wish to have is something that is very unique and very personal. And for some people, it's a very quiet and secretive thing. They wouldn't even tell their best friends or their wife or their children, or people who are really close to them, what they desire and what their needs are, and how they potentially want to find what they need and want. So I hear very interesting stories being in conversation every day with people about my job, helping people to manifest the love life they absolutely desire. And yet this cannot be done in just saying, I want this or I want this. It demands and it, requires from us that we are looking deeper into the complexity of a lot of things we want to achieve. And being a lover in transit is a very beautiful thing. And I want to invite all of you who have either a relationship that is not fulfilling and feel that there has to come a transit and a transition time in order to really, really make it happen. Some things need time, even for a couple. When two partners are willing to make it work, you want to give each other space to really, really navigate the greater picture, so that you can then create loving and intimate and quality experiences that really, really matter. And if you are single, then and you have a long period of no relationship, or just left a relationship and would like to enter a new one, but don't really know how ready you are and how you can change the paradigm and quality of one type of relationship to another one. And here again, the conversation is a very interesting conversation. And usually it doesn't take long to extract this in a conversation with me, because as I said before, it's not just my knowledge about relationship dynamics and communication, but also about the intuitive aspects that come into it. I can often see straight away whether a couple matches or not. And often people decide to stay together for various reasons, and there's nothing wrong with. And yet I see people matching beautifully, and they're just not making it happen because it's too hard, too difficult to get the communication and the alignment happen in the first place, which saddens me very, very frequently when I see potential in two people working with one another and for one another, and it not being transmuted into something else. Now, if you're a quantum lover and a quantum, philosophy lover, if you think in very elevated and conscious terms in your life, and you not just want to include the manifested and the physical, emotional, mental aspects into it, but some sort of metaphysical and spiritual aspects as well, then I believe I'm the person who should, have a connection with you and really, really have a conversation. And in order to do that, please use the links on the description box below. I love you to subscribe to my channel. I love you to sign up for a discovery session. You can do this by email, or if you're lucky, clicking on the link on our homepage. It has not always worked well because I shifted from New Zealand time into Bali time, and that time change has not completely been acknowledged in the online space. So when you look at times available, it's usually showing New Zealand time when I'm actually in Bali. So I will repair this and will fix this with the time to come. But I also plan to be next year in January, February back in New Zealand and Australia for my annual Valentine's retreat on Waiheke Island, and also to meet clients in Sydney and beyond. I thank you so much for listening and having, a check-in with me today. And I wish that you have a very, very interesting and, insightful and also balanced time in the next couple of weeks, preparing for this incredible time of Christmas, and particularly the transition into the 2020 year. And I think it will be a fantastic, very, very, very powerful, eclectic event, particularly with an eclipse that is coming up on the 26th of December. So let's wait and see. And if you are interested, stay in touch. Namaste, and thank you with all my heart.